Taking you to that story about last week's violent protest to demand water provision in Musina in Limpopo, the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Minister Senzo Mchunu, has now gone there on a 4-day assessment visit to the province to monitor the efforts to restore water and sanitation services. Pimani Baloyi is monitoring this story. Apshen Sesi, Minjani, Bafikile Bamchavseki.
Absheni Inkomo. Indeed, the minister has arrived here in Limpopo, where the minister, according to the program that we've seen, he'll be here in the province for 4 days, where he'll be monitoring water provision efforts by the province to ensure that the people of Limpopo do have water. As you've mentioned, Desiree, it's not just about water provision. Yes, indeed, there was a protest last week in Musina, which by Friday we had seen that police had managed to ensure that it ends. And when we're in the area on Friday, there were mop-up of operations ensuring that, the people of Musina are safe. But the purpose for the protest indeed was about lack of water. And the minister last week, during the course of last week, he released a statement to say he had been in touch with authorities in the province to find out what efforts have they taken to ensure that the people of Musina have water. And what we've gathered from the minister's people, he is here today. He's not only going to speak about the Musina protest, but other water projects that have been happening in the province for the course of the years. To speak more about this program, Desiree, I'm going to be joined by the spokesperson of the Department of Water and Sanitation, Mr. Sputnik Ratau, to tell us more about this visit. Mr. Ratau, thank you so much for making the time to speak to us. The department is in the province today. What are your reasons for being here?
Well, you must remember that a couple of months ago, we did have a ministerial working session in the province, basically to see what the challenges are around water provision and sanitation provision. What has subsequently happened is that there were directives to Lepelle Northern Water. There were agreements with some with some water service authorities as to what needs to happen post that working session, and therefore, what has been very obvious is that not all of the agreements have come to fruition, and so Minister would like to see what actually the blockages are, and also to understand what it is that is holding back the progress. But obviously, as you spoke about it in your intro, there was the issue of Musina. But there are other issues as well. Musina was a hotspot last week, and it is something that will always be a hotspot once there is a lack of water provision, because water is a very emotive issue. And therefore, Musina would be one of the issues that Minister would like to address, as well as others. Obviously, the issue of the Giyani Water Project is another one, but also just to get an update from the Lepelle Northern Water as to where things are. But not just Lepelle Northern Water. Remember that there is a fully fledged provincial office of the department here in the province, and therefore provincial government, water service authorities, which are your municipalities, as well as our entity Lepelle Northern Water, and obviously our provincial office are some of the people that are some of the engagements that will be held. But Minister is one person that is not just about sitting around a table, getting reports and so on. He is one who would love to see, with the naked eye exactly where things are. So depending on the kind of finality on the program, he will do some site visits as well, included in the next few days, so that he can see for himself whether what he is receiving in the reports and what is on the ground are actually together.
Zooming into the Musina protest, you did issue a statement talking about how the minister spoke to specifically the mayor about contingency measures that were put in place. Are there specific solutions that the minister probably brings to the table? We've also had calls from some of the protesters who were saying Vembe should be removed as the water provision authority in the area. What are some of the issues that we could see coming out of this meeting today?
One thing I will not be able to do is to be a prophet. Obviously, I cannot foresee what will come out of the 4-day visit, but resolution of these challenges is one thing that will be primary. But as well, when you look at the fact that it is not just about who protests and where, but it is about service provision all round. And maybe just one thing that is important that maybe people may not be aware of. The decision as to which municipality, whether district or local, becomes the water service authority does not lie with the Minister of Water and Sanitation. You must remember that some of these responsibilities overlap with the work of the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Department. And therefore, those kind of decisions, according to legislation, lie with the Ministry of COGTA. So, I mean, it could be that, when anybody becomes unhappy with the SABC, they'll be saying, you know what, we don't want to pay licenses for licenses anymore. But does that actually resolve the issue? The issue is how do we get to the bottom of the matter and find resolution? Remember that coming out of the Water and Sanitation Summit of February this year, part of the outcomes was that COGTA, ourselves as DWS and other related ministries, together with the private sector as well, have got to find one another and find solutions where, if government doesn't have the necessary capacity, private sector will come in. A number of engagements have been had with different private sector players over time, and we know that, with the Lebalelo Water Users Association already, there is an understanding of how, going forward, the infrastructure that is in the hands of that water user association will be utilized to bring water to the communities that are around and along that infrastructure. That is but one of the examples that we are going to be using going forward.
I understand that there are also site visits planned, and the minister has been to the province several times, specifically to see the Nando Ninsame project, where we know millions of rands have been spent on that money. And I know at this point the minister is yet to get the report from Lepelle in terms of what has been done thus far. What are you anticipating as the department as you go through these site visits to get reports in terms of what has been done throughout since the minister's last visit?
What is primary for the ministry and the department is that progress has got to be seen to be happening, and progress can only be seen to be happening once pipes are laid, and once those pipes are laid, then you have the necessary bulk that can be able to feed into those pipes, but also merit to that would be the requisite reticulation. So all of those things have got to work together, and it is in our interest to see that between the last time the minister was here and now, and remember that also the deputy ministers have been here a couple of times in between, so that has been a way of engendering some progress with regard to those projects. And obviously the Nzami Nandoni pipeline is a very critical pipeline. It has got to bring relief to the people of this province. But remember, according to the agreement with the contractor that minister had when we were last here and along that pipeline, was that the final work will be completed by the end of September of this year. But we have to know exactly how much progress has been made thus far.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ratau. That the spokesperson of the Department of Water and Sanitation here in South Africa, who's saying the minister is here in Limpopo to ensure that all the projects that were started over the years are finalized on the set time. We will be bringing you up the new updates as the minister sits down with Lepelle and other affected stakeholders here in Limpopo. But for now, it's back to you, Desiree.
Clearly a lot of conversations needed there, but thank you so much, Pimani Baloyi. Let's take you to this.